didn't get my package in my person.
I'll call to order the Ascension Parish Council meeting for Thursday, July 24th. If everyone would please stand for the prayer and the pledge, led by Councilman Randy Cluett.
Thank you, Father, Son. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we ask that you continue to watch over Ascension Parish and all surrounding areas in the Gulf South region. We're coming into the heat of the hurricane season. Lord, please protect everyone. Lord, we ask that you shed the blessing on all the elderly and have everyone look around to those that are in need with the hot weather. Lord, we have a special intentions for the Benatus family, Sanama, for their loss. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Randy. Roll call, Madam Secretary. Please note that all members present, with the exception of Councilman Scheck-Snyder, Councilman Turner, and Councilman Johnson, who's working.
This is the first one.
Chair's additions. I did want to let everybody know that this meeting is actually going to be my last as chairman. At the start of the next meeting, we will elect a new chair. Just feel like, in light of my recent announcement 2 days ago to run for the office of parish president, that I could use the time spent instead of doing some of the duties associated with the chair, use the time to go and visit with more folks around the parish and do things associated with the campaign. But I did want to say it's been an honor and a privilege, and of course I will be working alongside of you hopefully for many years to come, and of course remain very involved. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes,
Can I
Councilman
get you
Lee.
to pass on number 8? I hadn't got a response back from Mr. Simpson on that yet.
Sure, that's fine. We will.
I tell you what, I get it put back on as soon as I hear back from him. That way we keep from having to delay it.
Okay. We
That's all right
can,
with you.
yeah, no problem. We will pass on item number 8. We will defer that to a future agenda. All right, public comment sign-in period reminder. If you wish to speak, please fill out a comment card, and you'll have 3 minutes on that item. And we'll move into the presentation section. Mr. President.
We have Morgan up here, and she goes to St. Teresa Middle School, and she's made an effort and actually raised $18,000 for the Boston Children's Hospital, and through her making a difference with Morgan's fundraiser. So, and she won the Louisiana Public Broadcasting Young Hero Award for her efforts. So we want to also recognize her and her family at this time. I know she has, it's very dear to her. I think your mother has spinal bifida. Oh, she does. Oh, my note said you, but I'm sorry. No, but anyway, it's very courageous for you to do these things, and I know it's well appreciated, and hopefully you can, through your efforts, help other people to get help like I'm sure you've been getting over the years, and I know that that's why you did that. So anyway, so we thought it was a very special effort, and we wanted to take this opportunity to honor you for your efforts. And you got a pretty little sister here too. And what's your name?
Madeline.
Anyway. Certificate of recognition. This certificate is hereby awarded to Morgan Gautreaux, St. Teresa Middle School. The Parish of Ascension is proud to present this certificate of recognition to Morgan Gautreaux, a former 8th grade student of St. Teresa Middle School, for her gallant and generous effort in raising more than $18,000 for Boston Children's Hospital spina bifida program. Morgan was diagnosed with spina bifida 4 years ago, and with her strong faith in God, she continued to show an extraordinary sense of caring for others, and she has touched the lives of many. Her valiant efforts were recently recognized by Louisiana Public Broadcasting and the Baton Rouge Rotary Club, earning her a coveted Young Heroes Award. We join Council Chair Chris Laura, and the entire Parish Council in congratulating Morgan Gautreaux, our young hero of Ascension Parish.
Thank you. It's been a real tough journey, but I'm sorry. My family and my faith have gotten me through everything, and I just want to thank y'all for this award, and it means a lot. Thank y'all.
And we're going to always remember you and your efforts and continue doing so. And we know with your faith that you can beat any odds that you're faced with. And we're proud of you here in Ascension Parish, and proud you gave us the honor of coming here tonight. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Get a picture.
Okay, we have next the Louisiana Emergency Preparedness Association Award. Winners, Amy Johnson, Sections Chief on OEP. Amy, would you come up, please? Parish of Ascension is proud to present this certificate of achievement to Amy Johnson Cluat for earning the 2014 Louisiana Emergency Preparedness Association Leadership Award. Amy distinguished herself while serving as the Operations Section Chief in Ascension Parish Emergency Operations Center on June 13, 2013. On that day, Ascension Parish experienced a catastrophic explosion at a chemical processing facility that resulted in numerous evacuees, injuries, and 2 fatalities. Amy activated the Emergency Operations Center, initiated emergency proactive actions to commemorate with the incident, provided situational awareness to all agencies involved, deployed mass casualty equipment, established a joint information center, and formed a family reunification point. We join Council Chair Chris Laura and the entire Parish Council in congratulating Amy for her extraordinary effort, and does a great job on a day-to-day basis, and I'm not surprised at her actions, and I was there that day, and along with Mark Stewart and just about everybody else with OEP and the fire chiefs, and it was a sad day in Ascension Parish, but thank God for the people that we have and the emergency response people that we do have in Ascension Parish, that we can respond to an emergency in such a manner. So I thank you.
all I want to say is thank you for the honor, and it humbles me. I'm glad I can get up and go to work and do my part every day. And I wasn't alone, so that's all. Thank you.
Next, I want to call up Mark Stewart, Fire Chief, Prairieville Fire Department. Parish of Ascension is proud to present the Certificate of Achievement to Mark Stewart for earning the 2014 Louisiana Emergency Preparedness Association Valor Award. Chief Stewart distinguished himself by heroic actions while serving as a hazmat technician for the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office hazmat team on June 13, 2013. On that day, Ascension Parish experienced a catastrophic explosion at a chemical plant processing facility that resulted in numerous injuries and 2 fatalities. Although the risks were assessed, Chief Stewart placed his own personal safety in jeopardy by entering the hot zone and blast area on the 2 separate occasions. One entry was made to assess the reballers that experienced a catastrophic failure and again to recover victims of the incident. Chief Stewart's bravery and professionalism are in keeping with the highest traditions of the fire service and reflects great credit upon himself and the Prairieville Fire Department. We join Council Chair Chris Law and the entire Parish Council in congratulating Chief Stewart for his extraordinary effort.
Not much to say. Like Amy said, it's a team effort. We're just part of a bigger team. We have the pleasure of having the best job in the world, but when you see the young lady ahead of us, Morgan, that's a hero. That's what it's all about. We just get to do the best job in the world and have a good time doing it. So thank you all for taking the time to honor us for this.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, and keep the good work up. Tracy, Fire Chief of Gonzales. The Parish of Ascension is proud to present this Certificate of Achievement to Tracy Norman for earning the 2014 Louisiana Emergency Preparedness Association Valor Award. Chief Norman distinguished himself while serving as the Gonzales Fire Chief on June 13, 2013. On that day, Ascension Parish experienced a catastrophic explosion at a chemical processing facility that resulted in numerous evacuees, injuries, and 2 fatalities. With total disregard for his own safety, Chief Norman remained within that hot zone of the incident after all other first responders were ordered to withdraw. He established a primary triage point, coordinated ground medical transportation, and called in medical helicopter support. His bravery and professionalism are in keeping with the highest traditions of the fire service and reflects great credit upon himself and the Gonzales Fire Department. We join Council Chair Chris Law and the entire Parish Council in congratulating Chief Norman for his extraordinary effort.
As Amy and Mark said, we didn't do it alone. There was a lot of other people there that helped us out. One of them was my EMS chief. He set up a secondary triage, and all the walking wounded and the buses that we sent out went through him. So there was a lot of other people involved. And to echo Mark's sentiments with Morgan, we get to do what we love to do, and we get to do heroic actions, if you will. We're not remembered as heroes unless usually it's a loss of life of our own, but she is a true hero. I mean, and to be able to get up and help people every day is a life's blessing. So thank you very much. As Amy, I'm humbled by this. Thank you.
Preston Landry, District Chief, Gonzales Fire Department. The Parish of Ascension is proud to present this certificate of achievement to Preston Landry for earning the 2014 Louisiana Emergency Preparedness Association Valor Award. District Chief Landry distinguished himself by his heroic actions while serving as a district fire chief in the Gonzales Fire Department on June 13, 2013. On that day, Ascension Parish experienced a catastrophic explosion at a chemical processing facility that resulted in numerous injuries and 2 fatalities. With total disregard for his own safety, Captain Landry remained within the hot zone of the incident after all other first responders were ordered to withdraw. He established a primary triage point, coordinated ground medical transportation, and called in medical helicopter support. His bravery and professionalism are in keeping with the highest traditions of the fire service and reflects great credit upon himself and the Gonzales Fire Department. We join Council Chair Chris Law and the entire Parish Council in congratulating Chief Landry for his extraordinary effort.
I don't know that there's too much to say that Chief Norman, Chief Stewart, and Amy haven't already said. It's a great thing. We get to do a job we love every day, and glad we get to help any citizen that we can.
Thank you. And when we take this picture, I'd like all of you guys to come up. And Morgan, if you'd come up, we'd appreciate it. We'll take one group picture with all the heroes here in Ascension Parish. We congratulate all of you, and that's why Ascension Parish is the best place to live, I think, in the world. And it's because of people like you that come to the forefront when needed and never asked anything of yourselves, but always are ready and willing to help others. So thank all of you guys. We appreciate you. Leslie Anderman's coming up, and she's going to be talking about a Easter egg hunt at the animal shelter for dogs, and raising money and doing things for the animal shelter. And we certainly appreciate her efforts. And you know, we have to rely on a lot of these donations and to allow our service to continue the way it is. And without you guys, we wouldn't be nearly be able to conduct our business. And we appreciate everything that you do. And I want you to go ahead and tell us about the Easter egg hunting. And
all right, guys. Hi, my name is Dr. Leslie Anderman. I own Anderman Animal Clinic, 3200 South Burnside Avenue. We're a pretty new facility. We opened up about a year and a half ago. This is my friend Jenny Peaty, and she helped me organize the event. This event was the second annual Doggy Easter Egg Hunt fundraiser. It was held on April 12th, 2014 at Lamar Dixon Lake and Recreation Facility. What is a doggy Easter egg hunt? It kind of seems silly, but it's really a lot of fun. Over 3,000 plastic eggs were spread out over a field, and dogs would have to sniff the egg or touch it with their nose. Then the owner would pick it up and put it in their basket. The eggs were filled with dog treats, and some had prize vouchers. We get local businesses to donate prizes, gift certificates, etc. We had a costume contest, a DJ, several local vendors, and we had several rescue groups in attendance doing doggy adoptions. Over 100 dogs participated this year. That's double the amount from last year. It was a wonderful community event, and a good time was had by all. Tonight, we present a check to the Ascension Parish Animal Shelter for $1,535. Additional checks from individual donors totaling $365 were given to the shelter immediately following the fundraiser. This brings the total amount raised for the shelter at $1,900. We look forward to making this event bigger and better with each year that passes, and we are proud to support the Ascension Parish Shelter. We know that the job they do is not easy by any means, but is a necessary one. We will continue to support them in any way that we can. And just wanted to let you know the date for our next year's event is going to be Saturday, March 28th, and it's going to be held at Lamar Dixon, the lake in the back of the facility. It's a beautiful area. It's owned by the parish, and it's free, and you can go fish there. You can take your dogs, so it's a lovely part that a lot of people don't even know exists.
It was a fantastic event, and Lamar Dixon is really a great place to have it, so y'all should come out.
We appreciate y'all efforts, and as I said, I'm sure that the dogs and the cats and all animals at the animal shelter appreciate it as well, and look forward to it next year, and hopefully we can continue raising money, and these volunteer efforts will help us offset some of the costs at the shelter. And we appreciate you, and congratulations on in your opening. Thank you.
All right, Mr. President, do you have anything for the parish president's report? No, I don't. Okay. We'll move to item number 7. The chair would entertain a motion on the consent agenda. Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilwoman Terry Casso. Any objections? Consent agenda is adopted. We are passing on 8, and we'll move right into item number 9. Reconsideration of removal of speed cushions on Tiggy Duplessis Road. I do have a speaker before we get started, Mr. Barney Cox. Mr. Cox, if you could step in front of the microphone right there. It's on the other side of the podium, right there.
Yeah,
Yep.
face us.
I usually talk about loud enough they can hear me anyway. But as I was saying, I do appreciate this time of having the opportunity to talk before the parish council. I'm talking in support of the speed bumps on my road, Tiggy to Plessis. I want very much to have these bumps repaired and stay in place. Tiggy to Plessis has become a cut-through road. They're cutting through there, avoiding the red light at 621 and airline. They can go down and hit Duplessis out by LeBlanc's new store, and they don't have to wait in line for a quarter of a mile. We have so many 18-wheelers now going down the road. Some people slow down for the bump, and another car will pass them while they on the bump slowing down. I almost got hit at my mailbox the other day, and I hollered and waved my hand to get over. The guy stopped his truck and got out and hollered back at me in very ugly words, and told me to get closer next time. We just got to do something with the speed, and I think that 75% of the people that live on this road are in support of the bumps. The ones that are complaining about the front ends is the ones that are hitting them about 70 miles an hour and don't live on the road. If you was driving the speed limit of 30 miles an hour, you can go from one end of it to the other in less than 2 minutes. It's just not a half mile long. And I think that if you're gonna move the bumps, then make that a three-way stop sign at Tigger Plessis and Nona Lee. That'll at least slow them down. And if there was any way to stop 18-wheelers from cutting through going to the interstate, I don't know if you could put up signs or not, but we'd greatly appreciate anything there. I know that Mr. Tony Baca with the Sheriff's Department supports my claim. I first moved there in 1987, and there was no subdivision back there. When dark come, there wouldn't be a car go down the road. And now, I think it's a parking place for all the motorcycles. And they don't slow down because they go between the bumps. And it's just, I think it does good. The accident rate has been lowered by about 300% from the time they were first installed to now. And we've had people killed on the road, you know. So I thank you for this time.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right, I'll open up the floor. Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yeah, I brought this up because I've been getting several calls, and Mr. Cox is probably right. It's probably not people that live on the road. It's probably someone who lives in the subdivision that has to travel that road every day. But the biggest issue is these speed cushions are getting torn up, and we are a little bit lacking on getting them repaired. Right now, we have two that's broke right now, Parish President, and hadn't been repaired in about a month.
Well, Mr. Lambert, we've been mulling over this for
Right.
I don't know how many meetings and months, and
Yeah.
we were gonna go repair them, but if we were gonna take them up, it wasn't any use for us to go out and spend
Well,
money and
the
fix them.
the reason I say that is before I even brought it up, I had people come tell me, say they have called DPW to get them repaired, and they say, no, we're not repairing them. And I don't know where that's coming
I don't know where
from,
that
but,
came from
you know.
either, but we will
And that's,
repair.
they are tore up,
Yep.
you know, they are tore up as we speak. Now, that's a good point, maybe a three-way stop. I'd like maybe, we'll bring it to transportation and let them study that and see if that would help. As far as the large trucks, I think we can put signs up where we can prevent 18-wheelers from going through that plug because the road's narrow. I think that can happen. I'll bring that up also at Transportation Committee and try to move that forward. But, you know, I don't know about Doc. I share one side of the road. Doc has the other side, and he can probably talk a little bit on the complaints. He's getting both sides. I'm getting both sides, but I'm getting more complaints wanting to get rid of them because, like Mr. Cox says, it is slowing it down, but still there's some that try to jump them. The motorbikes are jumping them. The 18-wheelers are speeding over them. You know, so something to look at, and maybe if we could. Because eventually, I was always told back from when I took office in '96 that, you know, speed cushion, speed bump was a liability to the parish. If one of these trucks hit this speed bump at 30, 35 and lose control and roll it and get a fatality, the parish has had big liability on it because they put them speed cushions there, and that's what caused the accident. So legal did, at the time, he's a judge now. He's the one give me that opinion back in '96. So something to look at also on the liability side, especially since they're loose on the road right now. I will bring it up back to transportation to do a little bit more research on the three-way stops and as far as the big trucks. I don't want to move on taking them loose tonight, but forward this back to transportation.
You want to make that in the form of a motion?
Yes.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to refer this back to transportation. Discussion, Councilman Satterley?
Yeah, I guess I rise, I sit to speak the other way. Without sounding like I'm a hypocrite, I've already been quoted in the Advocate as saying this is a situation, so I agree with Councilman Lambert, where you're darned if you do, darned if you don't, when you compare the wishes and alleged needs of the folks that are hitting these things hard and are saying that they get damage to their front end alignment and so forth, versus the folks that are worried about people getting killed and run over and just the accidents in general. So what I did was, and actually David Mitchell contacted me from the Advocate, which piqued my interest. This was, from an historical standpoint, everybody needs to realize this, studied back in 2010. And in the article that Mr. Mitchell published in the Advocate, which I have here this evening, the Parish Council Transportation Committee back then, considering, to take them up, in a 3-0 vote, said keep them down. Former Director Ronnie Fairchild of the Department of Public Works testified against removal back then, as did Chief Deputy, as Mr. Cox stated in his testimony tonight, Tony Bacala said leave them down. And to be honest, I've talked to both of those as well, and they currently, although they're not here to testify, have indicated to me clearly that they think they should still remain down. Well, that, again, being from the University of Missouri, Show Me State, wasn't enough to believe it, because maybe the folks that are maybe pounding a little harder on Councilman Lambert have the better case. So I asked Tony, Officer Bacala, would you please give me current statistics? The Mitchell article showed that Tiggy Duplessis averaged 9.1 accidents per year. That was between the years of 1999 and 2007, before the speed bumps were installed. That fell rather dramatically to 6.5 a year during the years of 2008 and 9. And the article contains the number 5 accidents, even a further drop in the full year of 2009, the first full year in which the cushions were installed. The data that Tony Bacala gave to me, which goes from January 1, 2010 to June 19, 2014, just a few weeks ago, indicates the number drops further to an average of 3.25 accidents per year. So recapping, we went from 9.1 before the bumps, 6.5, 5, now down to 3.25, and I would maintain, as Mr. Cox testified, and I think as Todd just alluded to, there's no doubt people are speeding on this road and they're using it through a cut through, and while that might not be forever once 73 is fixed, I know this, when I walked it 2.5 years ago to campaign, I'd have my driver drop me off and I'd ask him to go 4 or 5 houses down, because we didn't want to come in and out driveways on that street. Literally, I would walk to, the next pickup spot. So, in summary, I'll be honest, I've gotten 4 emails since this story first broke in the Advocate against the bumps, and there are Mr. Cox, who lives on the street, Todd Uses, who apologizes. I have his email here. I won't read it into the record, but he cannot be with us tonight either. Tim Breckenridge and Keith Babineau. In addition, Jackie Bowman, a former parish engineer, indicated to me, and there is some controversy about this, but I think Moose has the definitive answer, that we actually paid for these bumps with grants. I don't know if that's the case or not, but that would be another reason, if so, to be real careful here tonight. So we have a former director of DPW, we have a parish engineer, we have 4 people contacting me, and multiple calls, maybe 8 or 10 people total, and to be honest, maybe I've had two calls of people who want them taken up. So I'm going to have to go with the issue of health, safety, and welfare, with the emphasis on the word safety, and say that I think it's probably better if we leave them down. And I do encourage Mr. Lambert to go ahead and study this again from the standpoint, too, of this idea of Nona Lee. That was not only advanced by Mr. Cox this evening, but it was also advanced by Todd Uses, who said that if, we'd, quote, lost the vote and didn't get the bumps were going to be taken up, could we at least do a 3-way stop sign there? And I told him what the law requires on that. And then also in his email, he talks about, could we also get the speed limit on Tiggy lowered to 25 to match Duplessis? And my comments about that very simply are, if we remove the bumps now and rely upon what might be, that is placement of a 3-way stop sign on Nona Lee and Tiggy, as well as reduction of speed limits, you're talking about recommendations coming from a committee and then a full council agreement to that may or may not happen. And then if you tie that with what I believe is a safety issue, because we're down now to 3.25 accidents, I don't want to be a part of taking these bumps up and having accidents go back to 9, or having someone like Mr. Tiggy himself, who got killed in the road, and others who have had significant problems. I might say, too, if necessary, Mr. Chairman, I can enter into the record the accident data that Mr. Bacala supplied to me, where I got the 3.25 accidents per year between January 2010 and June of this year, 2014. That's a 4.5 year period, as well as and I haven't talked about it, he gave me data on, I have here on tickets. And if you look at that, there were 185 tickets written in that 4.5-year period. And 73 of those tickets were for speeding on Tiggy to Pluses. I repeat, 73 of 185. If you look at just 3 other categories cumulatively, 26 for expired MVI, I believe Chief Deputy Bacala said that's motor vehicle inspection sticker. No seat belt, 23, and then operating a vehicle while a license is suspended, that's 20. If you add the 26, 23, and 20, you get 69. Add that to the 73 speeders in that period of time, and guess what? You have 142 of the 185 cases. So people driving Tiggy either don't have the proper paperwork or they're speeding, and everything else is sort of small numbers, like 1 violation in a 4-year period for an expired driver's license, or 3 violations for disregarding a stop sign and what have you. So in summary, I would support tonight that we don't do anything. I would agree with Todd until they study this further. But unless something seriously changes between that time and whatever recommendation Transportation Committee comes back with, at this point I'd have to support leaving the bumps in place. And I thank everyone for listening.
Any other discussion? Councilman Gluat.
Yeah, real quick, I know it brought up about the three-way stop at that road. I don't know if anybody, professionally had even looked into that. I don't know if it's feasible. I'm not that familiar with the road, every inch of it.
Can I speak? I'll go
Mr.
out
President.
on a limb and just tell you, if you put a three-way stop at that location, that you're going to have probably double the accidents and probably have at least 1 or 2 fatalities. And I might not be here to see it if you do so, but I will tell you that that a three-way stop in that area is not going to be the answer, because then they're going to avoid that stop sign. They're going to run through that stop sign, and some people are going to get killed. I mean, I'm just telling you, I've worked with traffic signs for 6 years when I was at DOTD, and I can tell you that road, some roads they would work on, but I can assure you, if you do a study on that road and you get with any kind of law enforcement or you get with DOTD on that road and ask them what their thoughts are, they're going to tell you the same thing, because they're not, especially when you first put it down, they're not going to see that stop sign. They're going to blast right through it, and I would hate to see anyone. I mean, I think the answer is either to lower the speed limit, take up the speed bumps, or leave the speed bumps down. I mean, I would not recommend putting a three-way stop sign on that intersection.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor to take this back to transportation. Any other discussion? Any objections? The motion passes. We'll move to item 10, which is a resolution authorizing the execution of a cooperative endeavor agreement between Iberville and Ascension parishes to improve the transportation system of the west bank of the Mississippi River from Port Allen to Paradise, Louisiana, West Bank Expressway. Mr. Craig Gardner from SJB, if you would come, I think you have a little presentation for us.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you for listening. I want to run through this presentation real quick. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'll try to do it quickly. West Side Expressway, again, it's the capital area delegation's #1 regional priority, and so I'll run through that. It's really trying to really increase the access on the West Bank with an expressway, which is the interstate quality transportation corridor. It's needed, and if you work with recruiting the chemical plants, they're really looking for more sites that are on the West Bank. That's where the really high ground is. So, again, if you can see that. The corridor that comes down from West Baton Rouge Parish, that corridor, it's kind of wide, that actually was vetted through the Tier 1 EIS in the loop. So that part has been looked at, and it shows a bridge there in Iberville Parish. That's one of 3 bridge crossings that made it to Tier 1. Then you see 2 routes going down. One would be along LA1. Another might be, to the west of that. Those were not looked at in the loop EIS, so they would have to spend a lot of time. They would go to the Sunshine Bridge and then go across to a new interchange on I-10. So essentially it might be 11 miles longer, but you could actually bypass the entire capital area on the West Bank if you're going to New Orleans, but it would provide great access to both for those folks that live and work in the West Bank and for any industry that wants to locate there. So Also would advocate for laning 3127 if you've ever taken that road. It's the embankment's already there, kind of like Burbank was years ago, and so, you know, you could take it all the way down, and then it would connect in with all the way to 310, so it'd be a great route also. Some quick benefits: the bypass, that you have additional river crossing. It's really needed. You have the interstate quality connections that industry is looking for, and also that the population there that needs that's commuting back and forth. And of course, it'd be a great evacuation route, and it would link up the New Orleans area on the West Bank all the way up through I-10 and West Baton. This was a study that was done with a partner firm there, just to look to see what advantages you would have economically if you installed the expressway with some truck routes. There's a before and an after, and what you see here is the combination of the two. If you look at the West Bank, you put 120,000 plus acres in play as a Tier 1 site. That's a big deal. That's the deep water part of the river, and so a lot of facilities would be able to locate there that normally would not be. And so we think if you do that, you're going to get $1 to $2 billion of additional investment on that side. You see the jobs in 20 years, 10 to 20,000. Many people in the industrial realm think that it's probably twice the impact that this would have. But anyway, it'd be pretty significant, and also logistics jobs, as you have opportunities to do other work there. There was a study done several years ago, I think 2011, but it started before that. DUTD took their original look at that, looked at a turnpike going all the way up from Paradise all the way up. This is what we think the cost would be. It's all very preliminary, but you see, about $1.5 billion, 1.6. You see a bridge in there, and that's what we feel like the whole project would cost. What we're looking to fund ultimately is about a $2 million implementation plan. That would come first. You do a lot of the feasibility work. You'd find the initial corridor routes, do a lot of the environmental justice, look at the concepts, determine what those would be, do the traffic and revenue modeling, look at the toll modeling, come up with a financing plan and an implementation plan. And so what we are asking for today is a match. So once you did the implementation plan, you could roll into the environmental impact study, okay? And then I think that's the end of my presentation. So what we're requesting is the part of getting this through the delegation was they wanted to see that the parishes had some kind of commitment, some skin in the game. And so, we're asking various parishes to put some funding in play, and then with Ascension and with Everville have a cooperative endeavor agreement, and then you could work together to begin the implementation plan, expecting that next year the funding for the rest of that $2 million will be put in place from the state. With that, I'm done.
Okay. Any questions or a motion on the resolution and CEA?
I just,
Councilman Joseph?
yes, sir. And that portion of that amount for Ascension Parish is 125, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I make that motion and that we go forward with the resolution.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Joseph and a second by Councilman Cazzo to go forward with the adoption of the CEA and the resolution in support of the project. Any other discussion? Councilman Ty Lambert?
Shouldn't it have been going to finance first?
It's
Just a question.
It's transportation and finance, so
It
I
is
think
money,
it's just,
you know?
yeah. Okay.
All right.
Councilwoman Cazzo?
I just want to comment in my role as chair of the Transportation Issue Council at BRAC. I had the privilege of seeing this presentation probably a year or so ago, and have been patiently waiting for it to work its way to this point where it got a look from this council and from councils across this region. This is an important project. It is scary in its dollar value, but it is all about our future, and it is certainly all about the future of the children that we are educating in our communities. It is an opportunity for jobs, and while it seems overwhelming, the cost of this kind of project, without this kind of forward-thinking transportation movement, we are going to eventually run out of usable industrial land, and we are going to lack the opportunity to have these considerably significant economic development wins for our parish or any parish in this region. I would certainly like to see Ascension Parish participate in any way that we possibly can. Certainly we need a lot more information, and I'm not saying that I would vote tonight to spend the money, but I'm certainly saying that we need to support this endeavor as it goes forward, and I thank you for the opportunity to express my views on that.
Councilman Fua.
Yeah, real quick. I guess I can assume that Iberville has the same position on this.
Well, we're approaching them. They voted last year in support of it. And so we're going to ask for more money with those guys. There's a bridge involved, and it goes through their entire parish, so they're going to have more involvement.
Okay, and within the river parishes, St. Charles, St. James, Ascension, and Iberville, where are we breaking down on the monies between the parishes within this study?
The expectation for the cooperative endeavor agreement, that would be Ascension, and that would be Iberville, and that's $300,000 there. West Baton Rouge is looking at maybe having a separate project where they look at part of what's called the bump, and actually something like what they call a West Baton Rouge loop that could be advanced even quicker and get them a bridge over the Intercoastal Canal.
Okay.
And then they would do their part of the West Side Expressway through West Baton Rouge Parish.
Clarification, St. James and St. John, they're in orange on this graphic. Isn't the thought that that actually would be a second phase? And that's
Yes.
kind of why they're not involved on this front end?
That's right. You
Yeah.
call it a segment of independent utility, and the expectation is that would have a separate EIS, and those parishes would be leading that.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was part of my original question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, trying to get answered. Okay. I have Dempsey and then Terry.
And thank you, Randy. That was one of the questions, but one of the things, Parish President, this 125, this has been around for quite a few years. Were we planning on pulling this? We've got some things coming up here with some road projects. Where's this 125 going to come out of?
Generally, it would come out of your road fund, basically. I mean, it's a road project, so unless you otherwise would direct us to do so.
Well, and I know we're working with Iberville Parish here, but we're not having too good a luck with drainage and a few other things. But I'd maybe like to see a little bit more on this to make sure everyone's going to buy in. You going back to find out how much you can get?
Yes, we're starting with Ascension and going back to the other parishes. So working with them very closely right now.
Okay. I just don't have a little warm, fuzzy feeling about this.
Is Craig, our contribution is conditional upon, according to the CEA, them adopting the CEA?
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Ms. Casa.
I want to add, for as long as I can remember, we have needed a bridge over the Mississippi River in or near Ascension Parish.
Right.
And this is the closest thing we're going to get to an opportunity to do it in our lifetime. I think this project, while some of it might not be as positive for us individually as others, that bridge is a key economic driver and a key for the safety of our citizens who ride ferries, who try to get across the river. It's a major evacuation route. There's so many reasons why that bridge, frankly, that was built in north of Baton Rouge, and you can have a picnic on it and have a beautiful view of the river while you do so. It's underutilized. This one would not be. I dare say the traffic count, I think you all have that, the traffic count on that new bridge would be very significant from the day it opens. We would not have to wait for it to be in play. So for me, that bridge is likely the most important aspect of this, together with the economic development engine that it would create on the West Bank.
Okay, Councilman Joseph?
Yeah. One of the things in St. James, St. John, and what you call them, they already have the land purchased for 3127 already.
Mhm.
So all they have to do there is put a road on it. Vice versa, once when we come past 70 and go north, going to Iberville Parish, we have no land acquisition. And basic, right now, on that north end of in my district, is about 25,000, would you say? President, about 25,000 acres along that river right there, that right now, you don't have that on this side of the river. And they're looking for that way, but they're all going to St. James, St. John, because they have that other outlet. They get to 70, they get to Interstate 10, and so economically, we have to do this here for Ascension Parish if we want to see growth. And we can ignore it, but once again, every time someone come up here about economically, it's the West Bank now. You're gonna have to look for it. But if we don't have the transportation or roadway, they're not coming. So, this one time, we have to take this chance on this here for economic development. And that's for the whole parish. This is not for the West Bank. It's the whole parish. Thank you.
To that point, Mr. Gardner, I remember during the presentation, and it's in here, I think, somewhere, but I don't think you touched on it, that it is also, of course, an alternative to I-10 and congestion and from a contraflow perspective and all that stuff. What was the timings, if you remember, as far as the routes from the expressway, going from, as opposed to taking 10?
As far as the distances?
Yeah, the distances and the timings of travel trips.
Yeah. If if you're approaching from Lafayette, you're about 5 miles before the bridge, probably 2 to 3 miles before the 415 exit. There would be an exit and be a flyover where you wouldn't stop. And you would quickly go over the intercoastal, and it's probably about, maybe 48 miles, you'd be back on I-10, really almost in St. James Parish, versus maybe 36 miles if you go through Baton Rouge, and it would be, 70-mile-an-hour trip. So we believe you'd have a lot of diversion to go that way. A third of the traffic, the through traffic that goes to New Orleans, 2/3 go to I-12. So you would be able to make that trip, and you should see also quite a bit of reduction off I-10.
Okay. Councilman Satterley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Gardner, if this council were not to support a resolution to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the parish of Iberville tonight, what then? Would the state monies not flow? Would they continue? What's
The governor put it in his budget in priority 5, so that was a positive. And the delegation gave this their #1 regional priority. Last year, the delegation had it #1, but the governor did not put it in his budget. So putting it in and priority 5 is good. What has to happen next year is to convince the legislature and the governor to put it to priority 2. And then, so in 2015, if that's the case, if you get it there and then you get maybe in September timeframe, then you go through the bond commission to get it funded. So the expectation of the local funding is you get this project started, advanced, it gets out, the public begins to support it, the delegation sees that, the governor sees that, and then you get the rest of the implementation money funded. And so if you don't do this and you don't get started, then you're really kind of in a dead zone until the legislative session next year. Again, what you want to do is keep this alive. A lot of the effort that's gone on before was to get the governor to accept it, which he's done.
And a follow-up question, how did we come up with the two different sums of money that total the $300,000 between the two parishes' obligations for planning? Who did that?
When we, really talking to the parishes and looking at what was fair, we felt like Iberville Parish was going to get a lot more out of this than Ascension Parish, even though it would be great for Ascension Parish. And so we felt like $300,000 is what we needed to get this thing advanced, to get a lot of the key tasks started. And so 125 seemed like the right number for Ascension and 175 for Iberville.
Well, 150 would be half and half, and you just said they're going to get a lot more. How much is a lot more out of this?
Well, you know,
I mean, I'm just trying to save $1 or $2 for this issue that was
understand.
brought up a minute ago about
They
where's
get
the money going to come from, and obviously, as President Martin has indicated, I'm learning
Right.
to know the answers before he says it's going to come out of our transportation fund, and we're scrapping for every
That's
penny
right,
there as it
that's
is.
right. You know, it really, you know, I guess if you wanted to give more, you could go half and half. The feeling was, you know.
No, I was talking about going the other way.
Okay. Well, you're at 125, they're at 175.
Without mixing the deal. You know?
I understand. The real strong advantages that you get, the travel time across the Sunshine Bridge to the Ascension Parish is held back because there's not an expressway quality route. Okay, you build that route and you get to the other side, you're going to begin to get, it's going to be a lot easier for industry to look at that part. You know, when you get to the other side, that may not go pretty far, but you'll get that piece right there. The bridge, if it ends up in Everett Parish where we think it is headed, it's also going to be real close to the Geismar area. And so there could be, you see a lot of advantage for Ascension Parish, both in economic development, but also in traffic relief. Does that help?
Yeah, it does help. And finally, the third thing is this little part that goes through St. James.
Mhm.
How come they're not being asking for anything?
I'm sorry?
Why aren't you recommending St. James brush their knuckles some as well?
Well, St. James, I think, wants to spend their money and time on 3127, and so I think getting that's going to have to go through its own effort. And you know, whether or not they look at a toll, they may or may not look at a toll going down 3127. So a lot of the expense and the traffic modeling and the toll and revenue modeling and the environmental, a lot of that they wouldn't need. And we think it might even be directed, even they might go all the way down, and the RPC down there may pick up that piece and run with that.
So it's your opinion, because of what you just said and there are other needs, that they really don't have to or should not, the way to phrase it, participate in this West Bank Expressway corridor? And
that's right. It's what they call a segment of independent utility, which really has its own separate needs and purpose.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon.
Councilman Kluwat?
Yeah, quick question. I see this is terminating, it's going to terminate at Airline and I-10 outside of Sorrento?
Very close to there. In fact, it'll terminate on I-10.
Right.
And at some point in time, you know, for a little bit more money, you could actually, you know, you have an interchange there, but you could actually interchange with Airline, because the Airline interchange is not a full interchange, so you'd probably want to route it where not only would you have an interchange in I-10, but eventually you could have a full interchange at Airline, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just want to say that I agree with Finance Chairperson Cazzo and Mr. Joseph, that, you know, we need to move forward. The bridge is going to be in Iberville, but we're going to get some use out of it. On the St. James side, though, we do this, we're going to free up 3127 and 3125 for them. Praise the Lord and pass the butter beans, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, it's and the Sunshine Bridge is in St. James Parish.
That's right.
From foot to foot.
That's right.
So, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt that they're looking at being part of the team. And I know that, you know, based on some past histories and different things, it's hard for one parish to join with another parish. And, you know, this being contingent on the fact that Iberville comes to the table, you know, in good measure, based on your division of costs, I'm in favor of this.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any objections? That motion passes. Thank you, sir. We'll move to item 11, which is a resolution to appoint members to the River Region Caucus, it should say committee, not executive committee. The members who were on it previously were Councilman Dempsey Lambert and Councilman Benny Johnson. Do we have a motion to reappoint them?
Yeah,
or make changes? However.
Chairman Lord,
yes,
I
Councilman
make a
Cluett.
motion to reappoint unless one of them doesn't want to, but at this time.
Okay. I have a motion to adopt the resolution as printed in your packet.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Casso. Any discussion? Any objections? That resolution passes. And we'll move to item number 12, which is a zoning review ID 2243.14, Lot A-1 of the Wilbert Sheets property for Boone Parson Enterprises LLC, located on the west side of South Darla, approximately 3,000 feet south of LA Highway 30, to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from Conservation C to Light Industrial LI, and this is for review only. So we will move to 13, which is a zoning review ID 2432.14, to remove from the official zoning map as a historical site Ashland Bell Helen Plantation for Shell Chemical LP. This is for review only as well. We'll move to 14, which is introduction of an ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from Conservation C to Light Industrial LI, located on the east side of South Darla Avenue, approximately 2,900 feet south of LA Highway 30. Chair would entertain a motion to introduce.
Motion introduced.
Motion by Councilman Satterley, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any objections? That motion is passes, and the ordinance is introduced. We'll move to 15, which is the reading of an ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from Conservation C to Light Industrial LI, located on the west side of South Darla Avenue, approximately 2,700 feet east of LA Highway 30, Lot A-2 of the Wilbert Sheets property for Gladys and Bill McManus. Mr. Barrington.
This ordinance amends the official zoning designation of Lot A2 of the Wilbert Streets property from conservation to light industry. This rezone is identified as zoning review ID 2410.14, Lot A-2 of the Wilbert Sheet property. Whereas Ascension Parish is a local government subdivision as defined by Article 6, Section 44 Louisiana Constitution 1974. Whereas the Parish of Ascension is governing and responsible body over the zoning and regulations within the jurisdiction. Whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4th, 1993 identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish. Whereas the official zoning map for Ascension Parish was last adopted on March 10th, 2014, and whereas the Parish Council reserves the authority to make changes to the zoning map by ordinance, this request has been processed and applied to the procedures set forth. Be it ordained that the Ascension Parish governing authority that the official zoning map for Ascension Parish, Louisiana, is amended to reflect the property identified in Exhibit A as light industry as the official zoning designation. In the event any portion of this ordinance is ever held to be invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed separate, distinct, and independent. Provisions shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of the ordinance. The effective date of this ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The exhibits of the legal description, the plat map, and the aerial zoning map. This ordinance having been submitted to a vote, the vote thereon was as follows.
Motion for the public hearing.
Motion open public hearing by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Randy Cluett.
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Councilman Satterley, second by Councilman Melanson.
Moved on.
Motion to move the ordinance by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Any discussion? Any objections? Ordinance is adopted. Item 18 is an ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium intensity residential RM to mixed use 2 MU2, located on the north side of Corner View Road, LA Highway 429, approximately 5,800 feet east of Louisiana Highway 73, 1.004 acre lot for Lamarck Incorporated. Mr. Barrington.
This ordinance amends the official zoning designation of a 1.004 acre tract from the medium intensity residential to mixed use corridor 2. The rezone is identified as zoning review ID 2407-.14, a 1.004 acre lot, whereas Ascension Parish, the local government subdivision, is defined by Article 6 of Section 44 Louisiana Constitution 1974. And whereas the Parish Ascension is the governing authority and responsible body over the zoning and regulations within the jurisdiction. Whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4th, 1993 identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish. And whereas the official zoning map for Ascension Parish was last adopted on March 10th, 2014. Whereas the Parish Council reserves the authority to make changes to the official zoning map by ordinance, and this request has been processed with the procedures set forth. Be it ordained the Ascension Parish governing authority that the official zoning map of Ascension Parish, Louisiana is amended to reflect the property identified as Exhibit A, mixed-use corridor 2, as the official zoning designation. In the event any portion of the ordinance is ever held to be invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed a separate, distinct, and independent provision, shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of the ordinance. This ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The exhibits are the legal description, the plat map, the area zoning review. This ordinance has been submitted for a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Open the public hearing.
Motion to open the public hearing by Councilman Kluwat, second by Councilman Satterley.
Close.
Motion to close by Councilman Joseph.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cazzo.
Motion to move the order.
Motion to move the ordinance by Councilman Lawson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Satterley. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance is adopted. We'll move to 21, which is a reading of an ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium-intensity residential RM to mixed-use corridors MU, located on the north side of Seaborough Road, approximately 800 feet west of Louisiana Highway 73, Track 2-3, Lot 2-A, 2-B, 2-C, and 2-D for Janine B. Brown, Ronald Brown, Kermit A. Bro Jr., Darrell Bro, and Carolyn B. Reams. Mr. Parrington.
This ordinance amends the official zoning designation, Track 3, Lot 2A, 2B, 2C, and 2D for medium-intensity residential to mixed-use corridor, MU. This rezone is identified as zoning review ID 2401.14, Track 3, Lot 2A, 2B, 2C, and 2D, whereas Ascension Parish is a local government subdivision as defined in Article 6, Section 44 of Louisiana Constitution 1974. Whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing and responsible body over the zoning and regulations within the jurisdiction. Whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4th, 1993 identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of the parish. Whereas the official zoning map of Ascension Parish was last adopted on March 10th, 2014. Whereas the Parish Council reserves the right to make changes to the official zoning map by ordinance, this request has been processed and is complying with the procedures set forth. Be it ordained by the Ascension Parish governing authority that the official zoning map of Ascension Parish, Louisiana is amended to reflect the property identified as Exhibit A as mixed-use corridors as the official zoning designation. In the event any portion of this ordinance is ever held to be invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed separate, distinct, and independent provisions shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of the ordinance. The ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The exhibits are the legal description, the plat map, and the aerial zoning map. The ordinance have been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion to open public hearing.
Motion to open the public hearing by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Lawson.
Motion closed.
Motion to close by Councilman Kluwat, second by Councilman Todd Lambert.
Move the ordinance.
Madam Minister, move the
Second.
ordinance by Councilwoman Cazzo and a second by Councilman Lawson. Any objection or discussion, I should say first? And Councilman Satterley.
Discussion. What was the zoning commission's recommendation on this item?
Zoning Commission represented against it.
Was that decision unanimous?
I don't recall. I think it may have. It was not, Ricky? I don't recall.
I believe I watched that on TV, and it was a lengthy discussion. It went on for like an hour or so, but I thought at the end that they had decided either unanimous or with one vote the other way that this should not be rezoned. There's no one here to speak tonight about this? Because I got a few calls on it. It's not in my district. It's in Terry's district, but sort of like speak now, folks, or forever hold your peace. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any objections? Hearing none, that ordinance is adopted. All right, we'll move to 24, which is an ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from light industrial LI to mixed-use corridors MU, located on the southwest corner of Louisiana Highway 30 and South St. Landry Road, portion of Tract B for William and Mary Lee Dixon. Mr. Parrington.
This ordinance amends the official zoning designation, a portion of Track B for light industry to mixed-use corridors MU. The rezone is identified as zoning review ID 2400114, a portion of Track B, whereas Ascension Parish local government subdivision is defined by Article 6, Section 44 of the Louisiana Constitution 1974. Whereas the Parish of Ascension is the governing and responsible body over the zoning and regulations within the jurisdiction. Whereas Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish adopted May 4th, 1993 identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish. Whereas the official zoning map of Ascension Parish was last adopted on March 10th of 2014. The Parish Council reserves the right to make changes to the official zoning map by ordinance. This request has been processed in compliance with the procedures set forth. Be it ordained by the Ascension Parish governing authority that the official zoning map of Ascension Parish, Louisiana is amended to reflect the property identified as Exhibit A as mixed-use corridor as the official zoning designation. In the event any portion of the ordinance is ever held to be invalid, unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed separate, distinct, and independent provisions. It shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of the ordinance. This ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The exhibits of legal description, the plat map, the aerial and zoning map. This ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion of the public hearing by Councilman Todd Lambert.
Second.
Second by Councilman Casso.
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Councilman Joseph.
Second.
Second by Councilman Satterley.
Motion to move the ordinance.
Motion to move the ordinance by Councilman Casso. Second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance is adopted. We'll move to 27, which is an ordinance to revoke the two existing 15-foot drainage servitudes running across Lot 3-A, Commerce Center, first filing. Mr. Barrington.
The purpose of this ordinance to revoke two existing drainage servitudes located across Lot A of Commerce Center in Ascension Parish. Said servitudes more particularly described on said attached plat map. Whereas the petitioner's position in Ascension Parish to revoke the dedication of the existing 15-foot servitudes located across Lot 3A of Commerce Center in Ascension Parish, Louisiana. The Planning Department, Drainage Department, and Engineering have reviewed and researched said request and have no objection to the revocation. The Parish of Ascension hereby ordains that it grants the approval of the revocation of the existing 15-foot servitude located across Lot 3A, Commerce Center in Ascension Parish, more fully described on the plat attached to the made part of Exhibit A. All ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby henceforth repealed. And if any provision of this ordinance held to be invalid, such validity shall not affect other provisions herein, which shall be given full in effect without the invalid provisions. To this end, the provision of this ordinance are hereby declared to be severable. This ordinance shall become effective 15 days after adoption. The ordinance have been submitted to a vote.
Motion.
Motion to open the public hearing by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Close.
Motion to close.
Second.
Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Satterley.
Started.
Motion to move the ordinance by Councilman Todd Lambert.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kluwat. Any discussion? Any objection? Ordinance is adopted. Item number 30 is an executive session on continuation of employee appeal. We'll need a roll call, Madam Secretary.
Councilwoman Casso.
Yes.
Councilman Kluwat.
Yes.
Councilman Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yeah.
Councilman Melanson.
Yes.
Councilman Satterley.
Yes.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Motion passes. We're in executive session.
They cleared it out. Motion to reconvene. We live? Oh, we don't, okay.
I have a motion to reconvene by Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Second.
And a second by Councilman Melanson. We are reconvened.
Make a motion to uphold the decision.
I'm sorry. Say that again, please.
Make a motion to uphold the decision
Okay.
by Human Resources.
And we have a
Second.
motion by Councilman Melanson to uphold the decision by Human Resources, and a second by Councilwoman Casso. Any discussion?
Can't have any discussion.
Yes, we can't have any discussion. Of course not. Any objections?
That makes that easy.
That motion passes.
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Todd Lambert.
Second.
Second by Councilman Melanson. We are adjourned. How about that?
Whoa.